spotlighting the very best at Geneva College Golden Tornado Athletics. This is Tornado Tuesday. And now, here are your hosts, Van Zanik and Andrew Fee.
Welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays. We're excited to be with you virtually again. And we're excited, Van, that there might be some basketball this weekend. We can kind of walk through the last few weeks situation, just explain that, and then looking forward to a women's basketball game this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we knew coming in that there was going to be challenges for sure, like we've been facing since last March. But, you know, we were anticipating the opening of the basketball season this past Saturday, both men's and women's. And I think at the time of this recording last week, the women's game had already been postponed because Westminster had some issues in their program. And then shortly after we recorded last week, our men's program had an issue. And so we had to pause those. So next Saturday game was postponed for the men. And then this upcoming Saturday for the men is postponed as well. But the women's program, and we're going to talk with Coach Grinder here in a little bit, but the women's program is on path to hopefully start their season this Saturday at Franciscan. Got another couple tests to get through hopefully this week, and we'll actually have some competition. And then men's volleyball, they're scheduled to get going on Thursday evening at Alderson Broaddus, a road game, and they completed their testing today. So I was down in the athletic training room, and they all came through clean, it looks like. So minus any unforeseeable changes, it looks like we actually might have some competition here coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it's really stressful, especially for basketball. I mean, they're getting tested 3 times a week, and that Friday test, you know, it's like the day before the game, and you're just on pins and needles waiting for those results to come back. But I think it's important for everyone to know, you know, it's not like these student athletes are doing anything wrong. They're following protocols. And I'm sure we can say that about Westminster as well. We don't know that for sure, but it's going to happen at times. And we knew that, like you said, coming in, but it's tough on the student athletes. It's tough on the coaches when you're preparing for a game and then it gets canceled.
And I got to tell you, I met with Coach Sanacero, set up a Zoom call with his guys that were in quarantine, and I got an opportunity to speak with them briefly last week. And kudos to them. I mean, it's not an easy situation to be put in, not just on the basketball end, but academically. These classes are starting, and, you know, we love to have our students in person in terms of being in the classroom, and these guys are all virtually in the class. And but they've done everything we've asked them to do with the protocol, with the testing, with the symptom logs and things like that. We've been testing them since they've been in, and everything so far is going well. So, you know, we're hopeful to get those guys out sooner than later and get on track to start the season. As of now would be a week from Saturday, which would be February 6th, which would be the first start. And a lot of work to be done between the 6th and the end of February to get all those games in there. So we're going to pack some stuff in there for the guys, but hopefully things will roll. And once we get playing, we won't have any more disruptions.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to it for sure, and looking forward to the men's volleyball game this week as well. So we'll be back after a break with an interview with Coach Grinder. Welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays. We have the unique privilege of interviewing Mike Grinder, coach of our women's basketball team going into his second year today. And we're looking forward to a basketball game on Saturday, Mike.
Finally.
Yes, finally, for our sake and for your sake.
Yeah, or for the players' sake, more or less.
Yes. So we've been preparing the last few weeks for a basketball game on Saturday, and unfortunately, that has not been the way it's gone for the women and the men. So just talk through that real quick. You know, you were prepared to play Westminster, and unfortunately they had a COVID case and kind of put you guys at a halt because no one else was ready to play. How do you keep the players engaged and motivated during that time?
I think, well, the one thing I stressed with them right out of the gate before when we got back, I said there's probably going to be some postponements. You know, we're just going to have to deal with it and continue to just work on some stuff. I mean, the advantage was the last 2 weekends we did inter-squad scrimmages, so that helped us out tremendously. They look forward to just – I mean, we're at a point where we have to play. That's where we're at. But with that cancellation, Westminster, it's what it was. And we just So, I was like, it's going to happen, and we're just going to have to move on and be ready to play next weekend. So here we are, T-minus 5 days and counting.
Yeah. So, Coach, like from your perspective, just, I mean, obviously you're excited, but, the NCAA is calling for 3 tests a week. So, you guys are testing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's got to be pretty stressful every time you go down there, knowing that, it takes one potential positive case and then you're going to be right back at square zero again. So I remember listening to some of the professional coaches talking about, they're waiting for their phone to ring at 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning to see who's playing, who's not. So
Yeah.
You got to be in a similar situation, just kind of holding your breath and hoping things go well.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is even the girls, they're even saying the same thing. They just want to get the plane, and every time we have to do a test, they're all nervous. And I mean, they jokingly, I think Brian told me this morning, our head trainer he's like, you guys are becoming professional at this. I'm like, yes, we are. This is our third straight week of now testing. So,
So, you were preparing for Westminster. That would have been the first game of the season. Obviously, you wouldn't have any film on them. Don't really know what changes they've made with freshmen. But with Franciscan playing this weekend, you really have somewhat of an advantage. You got to watch that game this weekend against Bethany. They lost. What are some things you're looking forward to the Franciscan matchup?
I think with the Franciscan matchup, I mean, we're both going to be younger teams. I have the advantage of carrying Lauren Tipton and Emily Melnick, who are seniors and have experience. Plus, Shannon Wolfson. So there's another junior that has some game experience, and Isabella Roth. So we have at least 4 players with experience and a bunch of young freshmen, at least 4 to 5 of them right now that are impacting how we play. And a transfer and Tess, who came in from Point Park, who's been a huge boost for us. So, I mean, just watching the game, you can see Franciscan and Bethany were both young. We're all probably sort of similarly rowing the same boat in a way, but having upperclassmen will be a huge advantage. And there's no one, I mean, not being playing down anybody in Franciscan, but there was really no one there that was it looked like able to even stop Lauren if we start going inside. So we're looking for, who knows what will happen Saturday. It'll be our first game against somebody else. Jitters out of the way, hopefully, after 2 inter squads.
Yeah, speaking of the 2 inter squads, you've had the opportunity to do that. So what have been your big takeaways from that? Maybe some things that have been a surprise positively, and maybe some things that confirmed that you need to be concerned with moving forward with your group.
I think the concern is you're working with freshmen, so you don't know. You have a chunk of our roster is young, so we don't know what game to game or quarter to quarter what we're going to look like sometimes. Well, the one thing I think we did solve was a massive concern coming into this year was depth. We had a lot more depth. Positive side is the ball's moving better on offense. We're getting a lot of easy, quick looks out of what we want. A lot things that we couldn't get last year. And one big thing is Lauren is really allowed to operate in a lot more space. And, I put her and Shannon together, I think, last Saturday, and they played well together because there was more space to play out of. So, I mean, the score, usually in an inter squad, you can get a somewhat of a feel what you're going to look like against another team or an opponent. And we put up 111, 102 the first week, and then this past week it was like 114 to 90. So I don't know what we're going to look like, start playing other people. I mean, it's generating a lot of quick looks, and it'll be fun to see what we can do once we play somebody else.
Coach, how beneficial has it been, going into your second year to have the upperclassmen that you're speaking of know your system, know your coaching style to help the freshmen, the big group of freshmen that came in? Obviously, last year you were basically dealing with all freshmen when it came to dealing with you. So how helpful has that been?
The upperclassmen helped out a lot in terms of transitioning them in, telling them more along the lines what to expect. And the one thing is they have really helped with them in a lot of things off the court as well. I think they are there for them instead of it's just like we're upperclassmen, you're freshmen. It's blended together well. with the upperclassmen and freshmen. And I mean, Emily and Lauren, they do a good job of, just talking with them, meeting up with them, and that's helped out. And you have we have 2 juniors, Shannon Stavers, another senior. So you have the 5 that are here were, they're beneficial to what we have coming in as freshmen.
So, Coach, just switch gears real quick. A big piece of what you've done with this program is bring in a lot of new faces to the program this year from last year. You've been able to, I'm just interested in your style, your recruiting style. I'm looking at prospective student athletes. Obviously, you had a carrot to dangle in terms of immediate playing time, right? So, so that's always a good thing for a kid coming in. But talk a little bit about what type of player are you really looking for? We know you have an up-tempo style.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a high school game, what specifically things are you looking to stand out that might say that they're a good fit for this system?
I think what needs to stand out first is if I'm in a game, they got to be able to shoot, because a lot of coaches will run into the gym and be like, well, I need defensive players. I mean, we can teach anybody to play a type of defense we want. The main reason at the college level you see success with some women's programs and others is the lack of ability for girls to score consistently. So we're always looking for shooters. One thing I really look for in players is the versatility. Can they play multiple positions? Because as we transition away from, like Lauren and Shannon over the next 2 years, we're probably going to go more into the modern game of like positionless basketball, where everybody's a little bit more interchangeable, and bigs are going to be able to step out and like put it on the floor and do things instead of the other way. I mean, it's that way in the West Coast of the United States. It's not so much in our conference, but you're looking for that. Like, I'll recruit a point guard knowing that there might be 3 point guards coming in with this class, but you're looking at also, can you play without the ball? And if they can play without the ball and still score and do things, then that helps, because now you have multiple decision makers on the floor, opposed to last year's team where, we really didn't have a point guard. So it was tough to, I think, be in games without multiple decision makers. Like, this year's team has the versatility. We got multiple decision makers. And then when you're sitting in the stands watching, it's, shooting, can you play versatile positions? And the third thing is can you just get through? Like, are you tough to get through the game? Like, the ups and downs of a game, because there's always that step at the college level from high school. Every kid's like, oh, I can play at college, and they get here and they find out how hard it is once you start competing and with your own teammates, but also against other competition and conference and out. So it takes a lot, I think, mentally and physically.
Speaking of the competing and in conference, how beneficial is it with a young team that all teams are going to make the PAC tournament this year? Do you think that really helps you through the 9-game regular season schedule?
I think it helps you, gives you the extra game, something to look forward to. I don't know how we're going to seed it, or, we're talking about it as coaches, like, how do we play first 2, 1 and 2 get buys, and then, everybody else plays. There's some formats we're looking at, but it's beneficial to the players. But having a young team, I think they always want to prove something. Freshmen, if they want to get out on the floor and play, and you have some girls here like Lauren and Emily Melnick that are wanting to prove that this is their senior year. They were here through a lot more downs and ups, and they have something to prove this year. And you have some freshmen in here that are hungry, so it might be a really good combination when we hit the floor.
Well, Coach, we're excited. I mean, I know you guys are charged up to get going. We actually have a men's volleyball match on the road on Thursday, which will be the first actual event, we're hoping. But then you guys will come in on Saturday afternoon. So we're looking forward to watching it and seeing the results, and we'll be able to report on that next week. So good luck to you. Thanks as always, and we'll be watching.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Thanks to Coach Grinder for giving us a recap of how things have been going, and looking forward to seeing them get out on the court this Saturday against Franciscan. Van, just briefly, you did have a PAC athletic directors meeting last weekend. At least one update came out of that, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, there was some significant things. Really, the big one was football. It was the coaches actually sent a recommendation to the athletic directors to push the start date back 1 week. So originally supposed to start March 12th. As a result of the change, the season will start March 19th. As it turns out, Geneva had a bye that first on March 19th. So in Geneva, Geneva will not start until March 26th. So the first game will be at Case Western March 26th. And the game that was scheduled for March 12th has actually been pushed to Easter weekend. But in order to avoid Good Friday, we're actually going to play the Titans on Thursday night, April 1st at 7 o'clock. So that'll be the home opener on April 1st, April Fool's Day, perfect for Geneva and Westminster. But yeah, so that change was made. It actually helps our guys. I mean, get a little bit more time to prepare those things. And so we'll be able to push things back. And then once we start playing, we'll just roll through the schedule, 5 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. The men's soccer tournament was pushed from a 2-team final to a 4-team semifinal like in normal years. We were able to add that. So it'll be 4 teams advancing to the postseason. And then volleyball was pushed to a 3-day tournament instead of 2, enabling a little bit more recovery time. So still the top 6 will advance in volleyball, but they'll have 3 days to complete that instead of 2. And then some significant things with baseball in terms of innings and things like that. But we'll get into that with Coach Sumner next week when we have Coach Sumner here talking about baseball and some of our other spring sports. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so some changes for sure. But as it goes to basketball, we're ready to roll.
Yeah, and I think I just want to give one last push for our Fans in the Stands project, where you can buy a cutout with a $50 donation to the Geneva Athletic Fund. And there's been some questions, and I think it's important to let everyone know that the decision to not have outside fans has only been made for basketball and men's volleyball at this point. And that's really where the project is aimed, but we will continue to do it if that decision continues to stay consistent throughout the rest of the sports.
Yeah, we're hopeful things will change by the time we get to March and everyone else starts playing. We're not sure. The outdoor sports might be looked at a little bit different than the indoor sports. We've learned that it's more difficult and challenging for the indoor sports, but yeah, we're hoping things will improve and we're able to get fans out there to watch us. But we're looking forward to this weekend for sure.
Well, Van, thanks for the update, and I think next week might be the first episode that we can report on some scores.
Boy,
I said that last week, so I'm hoping that it's accurate this week. So,
absolutely.
But thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week.